If y'all know me well enough, you know that Sterling K. Brown alone being in this movie was enough for me to say, absolutely, let me watch that. Hey y'all, today we're going to be reviewing Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, a movie that premiered at Sundance this year that is going to be coming your way via Peacock today, the day I'm posting this. I wanted to review it for you because it is a film, a faith film. This is what I think faith films should be, and I'll go into this a little bit more, but this film, I really, really liked it, and I really want to talk about it, even if I don't have the articulate words to form how much I like this movie. I wanted to review it for you guys. Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul follows Lee Curtis Childs and his wife Trinity Childs, who are the head pastor and first lady of a church in Atlanta, Georgia. They are coming back after a scandal, which you don't know what that is at the beginning of the film, but that's kind of revealed throughout the film's plot. But they have hired a documentary crew to kind of film what they hope will be their grand return Easter Sunday to their mega church congregation of 25,000 congregants. Yet it kind of details where they fit in their community, what issues they are dealing with behind closed doors, as well as the money that mega churches like this seem to have, as well as how these churches fight against one another and in some ways potentially root for each other's downfall in a very un-Christian-like fashion, if I do say so myself. And I really, really loved this movie for the main reason being that I feel like films like this are effective because they are written from the perspective of people who grew up in church, who grew up in a Christian community, who understand the ins and outs, the pros and cons of that community very well, and are willing to poke fun at it in a loving way while also kind of getting to the root of deeper issues, because I do feel like it requires people from within a community to make major changes in that community. So for churches in the Christian community, especially in the Deep South and some of these mega churches, people from within those communities, those spheres, need to call out the issues within those communities and spheres. Am I making sense? That's what I mean. It's sold as a comedy, but it's so much more than that, and it's something that I do feel like if you're unfamiliar with the lengths that people will go to support their church, or even the reference of a church home, which is a very Bible Belt Southern thing, but like that kind of culture is so deeply embedded in this film and understood so well by the writer-director Adama Ebo. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She is a phenomenal writer and director, and if you need any indication of that beyond watching this film, I highly recommend you go and check out the 15-minute short film, which is available on YouTube via Issa Rae's production company. She does like short film Sundays or shows them off. You can see kind of the roots of this film, which I would highly recommend watching before you watch the full film, because you can kind of see how much of a vision she had with that short film and how much she was able to expand upon it in the full film. I feel like there might potentially be some context missing from the short film that I really appreciated being expanded upon in the feature-length film, but like the core ideas, the core jokes, all of the really memorable imagery or commentary is in that short film. And I think that's amazing to see kind of what this grew into. And I think in large part, this was extraordinarily helped by the amazing performances of Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown. We'll talk about Regina Hall first because the film in a lot of ways wants you to empathize with her character and almost figure out what she's feeling, even more so than the scandal that her husband is involved in, because you can kind of feel from the beginning that she's the one plastering on this face, and by the end of the movie you see that really break apart both metaphorically and literally with her church mime, which was the most hilarious through line of this film. And again, it's expanded upon so well in the feature-length film, but obviously was there in the short film, so loved that. She was phenomenal, and she gave such a raw performance, but also something that I've met people like her who put on this face and this act of this perfect Christian woman who's really breaking down, who has these fears and concerns, and how sometimes people within her own community can shut down those fears of hers and not make them feel valid and remind her that she has a role to play above anything else. And I love how her character kind of breaks down, is it her spiritual Christian duty to stand by this man who has done potentially criminal things, who clearly she has relationship issues with? Does she stand by him and continue to save souls souls, bringing them to Christ in this context of this megachurch, or does she leave and that's the path that God is calling her towards? And I think that's something that it's very much not on the surface. You kind of have to reach for that sort of thing and really dig into her performance, but it's all there, and I really want to commend Regina Hall on that. But then the main event, Sterling K. Brown, no offense to anybody else, but I love this man. This film is such a window into what his range as an actor truly is. You guys know I love him from This Is Us. Randall is by far my favorite character in that series, and I have loved Sterling K. Brown since The People vs. O.J. Simpson. I love the man. His talent as an actor is there, and he is so convincing in every role he plays. And in this one, there were scenes where he genuinely made me feel uncomfortable despite how much I love him as an actor and other characters he's played, and that is phenomenal. Another large part of that, since everything is just kind of builds on each other to create what I think is just such a powerful film, is the mockumentary versus real life view of the child's world, and that is the aspect ratio shift that you have. There's a very clear difference between when you are in mockumentary form, which is a much more classic Academy ratio, which is more like a square, versus the widescreen of reality when the cameras aren't necessarily following Lee Curtis and Trinity. I loved that because it just cued you as a viewer into, okay, something's gonna happen here. The film was so balanced though, with long takes in both the mockumentary form and the real life form, and there were scenes in both that were funny or heart-wrenching and raw and disturbing, and I think that again speaks to just the craft and love that was put into the making of this film. I wish I had the words to articulate exactly what this film made me think and feel, but similar to The Eyes of Tammy Faye, this film points out hypocrisy within a church environment, how people can want to do the best things for themselves and the community, yet fall short of ideals that they have set forth for themselves. And I think that's just a really interesting lens into a world that I think a lot of people know, or maybe think they know, or have issues with. And like I said before, this film might not resonate with you if you're not familiar with a very Southern Christian community and how that might be reflected in the way they worship or have religious practices. But the film was just really interesting, and I implore you that if you're at all curious to see what this film is, what it's like, if this is another incentive, it's produced by Jordan Peele and Daniel Kaluuya and Monkey Paw, which is Jordan Peele's company. So I'm just saying, if you at any time this weekend feel like pulling up Peacock and checking out this film, I really think you might be able to glean something from it, if not just how incredible Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown are. If you liked this review, please give it a like and consider hitting the subscribe button, because I do plenty of movie and television related content on this channel. Please give your thoughts on this film in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day, and I will see you in my very next video. Bye, y'all.